Oops. I guess I sort of messed up there and haven't been live the whole time. Wow. That's not a good deal. Y'all missed my intro and everything. Should I play my intro back? Guess not. Um, so I don't know what made it there or not. It said I was live on here. Anyway, enough with that chatter. Let's get into the news. First things first. Talking about Nick Nemeth, formerly known as Dolph Ziggler. Him and his brother attended the New Japan Pro Wrestling or annual Wrestle Kingdom show. Made their way to the audience, take a look at it. Namely, the match between David Finlay, Will Ospreay, and Jon Moxley for the IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship, which was won by David Finlay. And looks like that's what they're gonna go with. Nick Nemeth versus David Finlay. Apparently, during the press conference, they got in a little spat here and went at it. You see they went face to face here. Oh, come on now. Oh, this thing's there. We go. They got face to face after Finley's match, and during the press conference, started throwing hands, but not seeing too much of David Finlay. Some of his earlier stuff. Um, he seems like to be a pretty good little worker, and for all those for all intents and purposes, Nick Nemeth, Dolph Ziggler, whatever you want to call him, Nikki from the Spirit Squad. Uh, the guy can always go. So this should be a pretty good matchup here, especially in New Japan Pro Wrestling. I'm pretty sure they'll get a 10-star rating, maybe, possibly, who knows. Joe King, what's up? Uh, oh yeah, by the way, too, I totally forgot to uh, come up with a topic to discuss when I talk about old school wrestling. Couldn't think of any angles. Just kind of been even though it's been rainy and all that, still been kind of busy for me um, at my real world job. Of course, this is not a job here since I'm a complete amateur. I'm not getting paid for it. Of course, as you could tell by my videos, I'm a complete amateur. So I did do ask my watchers right now who are in the chat during the course of this part won't take long. I just got a few little things to talk about. Uh, you know, talk about here. So think of anything old school uh, pro wrestling topics you want to discuss, and we'll discuss it in the open forum. Um, just save it till then. When I say open forum, um, that's when you chime into whatever topic or questions or you want to talk about as far as good old school classic wrestling, 80s, 90s. I think I know a few things about the 70s. I got the Google machine here. Of course, I know some things about the 70s. Anyway, but yeah, Dolph Finlay they should be have a pretty good matchup. Um, Sometimes in New Japan though, they kind of tend to go with the established star. Uh, Sorry, I'm got. I mean, anyway, my bad. I need to quit looking at my phone when I'm trying to be a star here. Anyway, uh, but yeah, New Japan kind of usually kind of push the established star a little bit. So I can see them having a match, and maybe Nick Nemeth will capture the IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship, have a little run with it, then maybe drop it back to Finley or somebody else. Um, hey, Karen Poole, Karen with a C, made it to this week's Spot Show live stream. Sorry you missed my intro and everything. I think everybody missed my intro. I sort of screwed up a little bit, but not important. I'm still a jobber, so uh, why should I have an intro? But yeah, that's my opinion about the whole Nick Nemeth, formerly known as Dolph Ziggler, in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Not sure if I'm pretty sure he's getting pretty good pay there too. Um, Not sure about how. I was wondering, not to kind of jump off subject here. 'Cause I know back in the day, like in the '80s, the days of Bruiser Brody, the Funks, Steve, Dr. Death Williams, and all those guys, when they went to Japan, they were taken care of pretty freaking well. So I wonder, I mean, obviously now with like WWE contracts, AEW contracts, usually AEW lets their guys go to Japan, but not so much WWE. The back in the NWA territory days, uh, missed the first 5 minutes. Yeah, you didn't miss nothing. It was just a picture, the intro, and me babbling, which I didn't even record, I don't think. So I screwed up. I can stop and restart. I can rewind and just repeat everything. Just kidding. Um, but yeah, like I said, that's the only thing you missed. Didn't miss nothing. I don't think. Did you hear me talking about Dolph Ziggler or excuse me, Nick Nemeth is no longer Dolph Ziggler right now. Just when he makes it back to the WWE, which I'm pretty sure that will show up. Um, Here's a question for the chat: would anybody be interested in even seeing Nick Nemeth in AEW? I'm pretty sure he can hang with those young guys. But he's also one of these guys too that knows how to work a match. Obviously knows how to sell, uh, and all that good stuff. I mean, he's gonna be one of those guys that, hey, kids, listen to me. This is how we're gonna do it. I'll bump around like crazy for you, but I ain't doing too much. Anybody watch AEW last night, by the way? See what Sting did? He was on a ledge and did a scorpion death drop on Powerhouse Hobbs. On actually missed the one table and hit the other one. Oh, sorry, spoiler alert. Powerhouse Hobbs got scorpion death drop through a table. But I'm like, God dang, dude, how old are you now? You're like pushing 70. You shouldn't be doing stuff like that. Uh, I know I look this up like all the freaking time. Trying to figure out. Dude's 64 years old. He ain't got no business doing stuff like that. If you see it, you know what I'm talking. Well, almost as bad as the whole trying to do a dive onto tables, whatever. But trying to get way too creative at his old age. Maybe 30 years ago. But yeah, if you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. Um, and I think we find out who Sting's last opponent is as well. Actually, I do got my AEW review recap show on, or AEW Dynamite recap show. So, of course, after this, if you're watching, check that out. Um, and you'll see who Samoa Joe's first opponent is and who is Sting's last opponent. Anyway, enough with the Dolph talk. Let's see. Uh, Longtime producer for the WWE, Kevin Dunn. He decides he's had enough of it. He is gone. He is out. He is leaving though leaving the WWF. I guess going on to do other things or retiring. Dude got pretty made some pretty good bank. Uh, yeah, he's not Ric Flair old, but still, he shouldn't be doing that stuff. He ain't that far behind Ric Flair, is he? Okay, they're 10 years apart. So yeah, he's not Ric Flair old. Um, let's see, but yeah, uh, actually, I think this is Jim Cornette's favorite producer here for the WWF. Uh, Kevin Dunn, he decided to leave. Uh, I guess the production looked good. I mean, the TV and all this stuff looked good. I'm not going to complain about it. I don't obviously I don't know, not a big expert on TV production. But actually, his replacement has already been named. A guy by the name of Lee Fitting. He is the new head of media and production following the departure of Kevin Dunn. Um, and it says here in this article, Dunn, a trusted figure under the Vince McMahon, left the company at the beginning of 2024 due to decreased influence, and a desire to maintain the production style. Uh, so basically, he wasn't 100% or uh, he wasn't the how you call it, the figurehead. Uh, Flair's 74, body of a 90-year-old though. As many bumps as he's taken, yeah. Flair 74, body of a 94-year-old. I don't know. He can still walk and all that. Um, but anyway, I guess they're going with a different production style than what he's used to and he liked, and I guess that's what reason he decided to leave and go on to do other things. I guess. Um, like I said, first time I've heard of Kevin Dunn, I think it was one of Jim Cornette's shooting interviews, and he did not have nice things to say about Kevin Dunn. Um, let's just put it that way. And of course, who does Jim Cornette? Hey, the funny thing about Jim Cornette, if he's working for you, you're a saint. Once he stops working for you, you're the devil. You go from an angel to a demon, just like that with Jim Cornette. Um, okay, we had some technical difficulties about pulling up something. Anyway, what didn't pull up, Kieran? Oh, not. Oh, you're talking about the. I think I messed up. I didn't. I think clicked the wrong. But yeah, Percy Pringle. He didn't like Kevin Dunn. That is right. Percy Pringle. He didn't like Kevin Dunn. Um, but obviously he was doing something right to be there as long as he did. And like I said, I don't remember the exact figures. I just know he was making in the millions. Um, I think somewhere around 2 to 4 million a year, something like that. That might have been that might be a little over, but give or take 2 million a year. But like I said, he had Vince McMahon's trust. I guess that's all you need, and he had a job for a long time. But I guess Triple H is like, look, this is my show now. I say how see how things are going to be. Actually, it's not totally Triple H's. It's TKO Endeavors. It's their show now. Yeah, I thought. I mean, some of the things was kind of uh, yeah. I mean, as far as the TV product and stuff like that, uh, everything seemed good. You know, sometimes the miscued pants to the crowd. Sometimes when they did replays, they would uh, edit videos, but that was all Kevin Dunn's doing, or Kevin Dunn under the orders of Vince McMahon. But other than that, it seemed look good. I mean, uh, I hate to trash on AEW right now, but there was a spot where, not to give anything away since nobody said it, um, it was just there was a spot there. It was kind of ending of the match, and then they pan out to something else, and they didn't, instead of showing the end, they pan out something else. Uh, I would say that's bad production. And there was that, what was that pay per view? Not this last one, but the one before that. Or was it a pay per view or just a? I think it was a pay per view. Yeah, it was a pay per view. It's I mean, you see like I think it was Sky Blue in the corner, uh, kicking somebody with her, you know, it's like, you know, here's somebody in the corner. Here was Sky Blue's foot way behind here, nowhere near the person. Uh, Bad stuff like that did not look good as far as AEW. And it's kind of kind of the performers part too. I ain't saying kick the living crap out of them, but have it a little closer. Um, Speaking of AEW, uh, yeah, their production was not, it wasn't bad, but uh, I guess it's just him personally they didn't like having to deal with. Wanting to know every didn't have to do something to do with kind of like way everything is now. The match is really nowadays totally laid out, and that way Kevin Dunn can know where the camera's got to be, which is uh yeah, showing blade jobs. Yeah, that does not look good either. Um, yeah, it's supposed to be like a magic show, people. Um, I mean, imagine what or yeah, magic. Imagine going to a magic show and the magician not only pulls a rabbit out of the hat, but he kind of shows how that trick is done. Or, a movie. It's like, okay, this person got shot, but let's, show the special effects, whatever. Uh, but yeah, so Tony or Kevin Dunn is out. What's his face? Lee Fitting is in, and like I said, we'll see where things go. And I mean, another thing too, Vince McMahon was really, really hands on with a lot of stuff. So obviously, Kevin Dunn knew how to, knew exactly how Vince wanted it, and that way, that's that's probably how he gained his trust as far as production wise. But Vince was very, very hands on with, I think, everything to do with. I mean, it was his company. Of course, he's going to be very hands on. But you know, uh, yeah. So let's get into this here. Made a little thumbnail of it for the Twitter Championship of the World. It is Tony Khan and Eric Bischoff kind of going on a Twitter spat a little bit. And actually, I think it's got started with oh, I think it started with actually it got started with USA and Tony Khan. Apparently, it was announced that Jinder Mahal is going to have a world title match against Seth freaking Rollins next week on Raw. Of course, Tony Khan uh, had a tweet. A moral victory for USA is one win more than their world title challenger Jinder Mahal has in the past 364 days because it's been literally a full year since he won a match. You really put AEW in our place getting Jinder Mahal in a big match on your TV show. Do it more often. And and don't know where I guess it was Raj Guri or whatever. Oh, that's how it started. That's it. Raj Guri uh put on Twitter, who is Hook, and that's where Tony Khan, chimed in, I guess, and included the USA Network. course, USA Network uh, chimed in as what was that cage match rating? Um, then this went on and on and on and on. And Eric Bischoff kind of sat there and said, or somebody said, Tony forgets he literally gave Abaddon a title shot after being on TV for over a year. And I guess she was on, had like 3 or 4 matches, then got the shot in. And basically Eric said, hey, is this true or is it a bot? Uh, and of course, Tony Khan said, no, it's not true. Abaddon returned to TV, then four way won a 4-way match on TNT against other great wrestlers to earn a title shot, which is complete with somebody going in a full year losing every match they're in, plus getting a title shot without a single win. Um, and it basically, this rich people arguing with other rich people about uh, their stuff. Um, which, tell you the truth, I really have no problem. I really have no problem with Hook going against Samoa Joe on TBS next week for the AEW World Championship. Because yeah, even though it's cable, um, you do sort of pay for it, but it's the basic cable, you know. Uh, so I ain't saying you get it for free, but it's not a pay per view. That's what I'm trying to say. So it's free TV. Uh, I have no problem with Samoa Joe. I like the idea of Samoa Joe facing Hook than say Samoa Joe versus uh, Jay White. Samoa Joe Jay White should be a pay per view. You should have to pay to see that match. Samoa Joe Swerve Strickland, you gotta pay to see. And despite what anybody thinks, namely me, about Adam Page, uh, Samoa Joe Adam Page pay per view match. Samoa Joe Hook, you can do on Dynamite, Collision, Rampage. Uh, yeah, I think Jinder Mahal is like at least 2 foot taller than uh probably a majority of the roster. That's why they knocked out the heavyweight part of the or they never put the heavyweight part in their championship belt. But I don't know. Jinder Balls. Uh, I think Samoa Joe could take him. I just leave it at that. Nothing against Jinder Mahal or Jinder My Balls, or whatever you want to call them. Nobody's watching this. I can say what I want. Uh, but yeah, I think legitimately, I think Samoa Joe can take him. I mean, Jinder Mahal is a big boy, but I don't know. Samoa Joe is not exactly a lightweight. Um, I'm pretty sure if he had to legitimately hit somebody hard, they would feel it. And yeah, I ain't talking about those heavy chops he likes to throw either. Because those things can be pretty loud and sound painful. So if he actually had to punch somebody legitimately, uh, he was okay. I mean, not one of my favorites. I think I kind of respect what he did. He knew what Vince McMahon wanted. Uh, no, only because he's Samoa Joe. It's not kin to annoy your family. Um, never bet against the Samoan. Never, never ever. Um, like don't piss off a Samoan. Just don't do it. I've actually had other shows where I've discussed this before, or different videos where I've discussed this before. Um, on one of the job sites I was at, there was a young lady. Well, not young lady. Uh, I just call her young lady. Everybody's young lady to me, my age. Everybody's young, young men, young lady. Anyway, there's female there. She was machine operator, and she was part Samoan or mostly Samoan and stuff like that. And because we got chit chat and stuff like that. And like a week later, this guy's BSing on the job site, taking a break, and it's like I think the wrestling I forgot what was going on in wrestling. Somebody was talking about it, and it's talking about Roman Reigns or no, I think it was on Del Rio when he broke up with Saraya. Um, said something about what's his name, Xavier Woods, and somehow for some reason said something about Jay Uso, and I was sitting there going, look, uh, nothing against Xavier Woods, but Alberto Del Rio needs to stick with Xavier Woods. Leave Samoan alone. Jay Uso, Jimmy Uso, Roman Reigns, all the way back to uh, you know, um, Peter Maivia. This leave those people alone. Because when and this is when she popped up. I was like, from what I heard, they like to pull people's eyes out. And this female name, her name was Laura, and she walked up. I was like, see, Laura, she's part Samoan, one of the nice people here. Guess what? I'm not gonna tick her off. She can probably whoop, even though she was probably about yay tall and not that big around. I was like, she can probably whoop my butt. Not messing with that. You don't mess with Samoans. I mean, if you're one of these people, doctors out there, if you deliver a Samoan baby and it's not crying, trust me, it'll cry, it'll breathe, it'll figure it out. Because the last thing you want to do is smack that Samoan baby. Because you know what? If you smack that Samoan baby's going to chase you out of the hospital and whip your tail. Um, anyway, enough about Samoans. But yeah, sometimes I go off key here. I do respect the fact that Jinder Mahal, he knew it because he wasn't as big. I mean, he was big, but not as big as he got. But however he did it, not making any accusations or anything like that. Uh, he knew Vince McMahon like big bodybuilder type, so he got big and did things that Vince McMahon liked, and Vince decided to give him opportunity. I think he did beat Randy Orton for the either the WWE title or WWE World Heavyweight. It's when they had like two different ones, same difference. You're basically a world champion here and a world champion there. Who gives a shit? Um, but he won it. Now fans did crap on it. No, he's not a great catch can wrestler. Mat technician. He's not a high flyer going to do 50 super kicks and 30 you know Canadian destroyers and 40 moonsaults and 80 dives. I don't think he would do that when he was at his beginning build because he's a pretty tall dude too. Um, but he did all the things that Vince wanted. He got his opportunity. It didn't turn the box office, but those things happen. Then he dropped it to AJ, and definitely made AJ Styles even more popular. Fans dug that because they love and respect AJ Styles. But yeah, like, and that's another thing too. It's like Jinder. He's not on that run anymore, but he is a former world champion. and he's going to get a shot at the current world champion. And I had no. I like Seth Rollins versus uh Ginger. Ginger. I like Seth Rollins versus Jinder Mahal on Raw instead of, like I was saying, Seth Rollins versus uh, Drew McIntyre. That should be on pay per view. It was on a pay per view, so it was just a rematch from a pay per view. Seth versus CM Punk. That shouldn't be on Raw. That should be on the pay per view. Uh, but you kind of get what I'm saying here. Uh, and well, a few weeks ago, even though he's got the nickname main event, he's not quite there yet. He's not. He still got a little ways to go to if he even becomes a main event player. But Seth Rollins, Jey Uso, Raw, fine. That's where it should be. Um, but Seth Rollins versus a Roman Reigns again, that's pay per view. You gotta get people to pay, or excuse me, premium live event. Uh, AEW does pay per views. My biggest gripe wasn't the fact that you put on Collision something that I don't even think half your barely half of your Dynamite viewers watch. You put MJF against Kenny Omega on TBS or TNT on Collision. Why? That right there should have been a pay per view match, not a hey, just free TV match on there. Yeah, that he definitely had definitely had a good character, but people just didn't. Yeah, sometimes people the thing about it is, okay, you can have a good character or whatever, but if they're not bought into you, period, um, then they're not going to watch. They're not going to tune in. You never know when something happens and gets people behind you, and now you're over like Rover. Maybe Tony might have done that. Yeah, I mean, who would have thought New Day would be over? I mean, when they first, I remember when they first came on the scene, the people crapped on it big time. The fans in the when you watch it on TV, and the fans in attendance, they crapped on it big time. They made a little adjustment, turned heel, kind of went to their comedy routine. They got over like Rover, money, and they're still a team to this day. When they're not injured, and unfortunately, I don't have the any new news on. I think something was said about Big E, but I just don't. Hopefully, he can come back, but I can understand if he. It's like, nah, I'm good. Um, just a big guy like that, you just don't. A big, stout guy like that, you just do not throw suplexes on. Uh, nothing. I'm pretty sure that oh, I forgot what was his name. One of the uh, one of the brawling brutes. His name, his name slips my mind. Rich Holland. That popped in there just like that. Rich Holland, big strong dude, but still just didn't have no business trying to throw Big E around. Um, I think Xavier Woods, he's hurt too right now. That's recently to see Kofi Kingston in the match. That was a pretty good match with him and Ludwig Kaiser. Of course, Lua Kaiser had a big, you know, bigger percentage of that match, but it was pretty good. Which you can get my opinion on WWE Raw recap that was downloaded yesterday. Check it out. Uh, Sound like an infomercial now. Maybe I get that right. Peter Bread. Peter Bread 01. Hey, Ron. Hey, Peter Bread 01. How's it hanging? Um, but yeah. I mean, some things, but people were, unfortunately, this is the bad thing about wrestling too, um, is sometimes, if somebody's going to crap on it, they're going to crap on it. I mean, when they find out that, something might happen. Like I think the rumor broke that Jinder Mahal might become heavyweight or world champion or WWE champion, wherever he was at the time. People were already like, this is gonna suck. Uh, but yeah, I mean, but yeah, like I say, you never know when something happens and gets people behind you, and now you're over. I mean, look at what happened with the whole bromance between MJF and Adam Cole. Uh, that they could have kept that team going. Then you had to turn him to the but that's they kept with. I guess this was the original plan, and that's what they kept with. And yes, I know it's been beat over my head. This is what made sense, but I guess it did make sense that Adam Cole was the devil. But it's still like, really. Um, but yeah, that's just one of those deals where people dug it. I mean, I was at the AEW show when Adam Cole and MJF came out, and I think let's see, it was them. The Hardys got a huge pop. Um, Hardys got a huge pop. I almost want to say they got the biggest pop of that night. I know FTF or FTR got a pretty good response. Sting, of course, got a good response. CM Punk got mixed, but it was all loud, so that's the only thing that matters. Um, I think he was like the number one seller in AEW last year. Number one merch seller in AEW last year is a guy who barely worked any of it. I think what 3 months probably. Anyway, let's see. Yeah, yeah, just a little move like the kangaroo, the double clothesline. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it sometimes depends on who the character is, and if you get it over to. I mean, I can't see too many people getting the kangaroo kick. The MJF got the kangaroo kick over. Um, I mean, remember in the '90s? I mean, nobody at that time was using an elbow drop for a finisher. Maybe Buddy Landell and Smoky Mountain. I think when he first came to his short time in the WWF, I think he used a corkscrew elbow drop for a finisher, but it people crapped on it. Uh, I mean, Dusty Rhodes, he didn't, way past Dusty Rhodes era, but Dusty Rhodes' finisher was the bionic elbow. Jimmy Woogie Man Valiant, big elbow drop, will get the win. So here we are, 96 ish, I think, when Rocky Maivia turned into The Rock, and now he's doing this move where he takes the elbow pad off, runs the ropes, and drops an elbow and gets a pin. Only The Rock at that time could get an elbow drop, rename it the People's Elbow, put a little style into it, and got it over. Anybody remember those times? But anyways, But yeah, that, like I said, this is two rich dudes spatting. I mean, I hate to say it. Well, I don't. It's just the truth. I mean, some things Eric Bischoff says that you know, and it's really stupid when I hear these, see these comments. When he's telling Tony Khan, giving some advice, like, hey, maybe you shouldn't do this or do that, and some in the comments go, well, you did it in WCW. Well, yeah, I did in WCW, and WCW is out of business, which ain't totally Eric Bischoff's fault. Maybe that can be a topic for another day to discuss. But long story short, my opinion is if Ted Turner still owned Turner Broadcasting, WCW would still be around. Uh, Speaking of rumors and innuendos and things of that sort, apparently today a news broke out that what's his name? Speaking of Jim Cornette, his little co-host Brian Last claimed that Chris Jericho was knocked out on his own cruise in 2020. Uh, Brian said, "Man, there's a story I would love to tell, but I didn't get permission. But I'm getting knocked out. But him getting knocked out on his own cruise ship by someone he mouthed off to, it's the most incredible fucking story. But I can't talk about it today." Well, later it was reported that it was MVP who knocked Chris Jericho out, and I actually remember the story. Basically, it started off again. Speaking of Twitter wars, uh, uh, during the cruise, there was altercation between Chris Jericho and former U.S. champion MVP, where heated words were exchanged and resulted in MVP getting knocked out. That's the story that that's the rumor that started. Then MVP did tweet out today that his tweet was heard any good rumors lately. Um, but basically, what happened during the 2020 presidential election, Jericho tweeted, "Hey, I'm not a political person, but is it strange to anybody else that for the first time ever we have to wait 2 days, 5 days, 10 days to find out who won the presidential race?" And of course, MVP, replied, "Delete this." And of course, Jericho blocked him. And a couple of years later, AEW was in Houston, Texas, and MVP confronted Jericho at the hotel where the wrestlers were staying at. Uh, and actually, the Wrestling Observer reported this. Jericho was talking to Matt Hardy, and MVP showed up. Most people didn't know what was up and thought he was kidding around until it became clear he wasn't kidding. Nothing bad happened, even though it was a tense situation. Jericho did tell him that he doesn't fight jobbers when he got in an elevator, and MVP was screaming about it in the lobby. So, no fight happened. He didn't get knocked out. Didn't get knocked out on his cruise by MVP or anything. Just one of those. Unless the story. I mean, this story is just going on today. So if uh if something else is sprung out of it, I will talk about it. But if he got knocked out by somebody, it wasn't MVP. Um, a convicted, uh, who was once convicted of armed robbery and kidnapping. But let's cheer him for knocking out Chris Jericho because we just don't like Chris Jericho today. Um, but yeah, that's basically what it was. Just a little hissy fit on Twitter. 2 years ago, not or 4 years, almost 4 years ago. So another shit burger. Uh, so I will say, uh, unless it's somebody else, uh, this is a nothing burger. Sorry, Brian Last. Unless it was somebody else, maybe somebody else knocked Chris Jericho out. But Chris Jericho, hey, from like I said last week, there's a few stories I heard about. He's not afraid of uh, not afraid to stand up and fight somebody. Uh, Bill Goldberg tried him, didn't succeed. Hell, he got in Brock Lesnar's face. Hell, I wouldn't do that. But but yeah, that was a like I said, rumor and innuendo as the one. Um, oh, what's his name? Bruce Pritchard would say. But anyway, like I said, hopefully, hopefully you folks did think about some old school wrestling to talk about. Cause like I said, I went totally blank, and truthfully, I forgot to plan a old school wrestling uh, subject to talk about. I think we hit on a few little things here. At least went back to the '90s and talking about the only person at the time could get an elbow drop as a finisher over is this making my lips orange? Ooh. Anyway, yeah, I'll squeeze that up because my lips look plumply orange. Anyway, so yes, so this is open forum time. Let's look at the chats here. Uh, Anybody got anything good to talk about? Some old school wrestling. Um, I'm almost like Von Erich out a little bit as far as talking about it. I think it. I think people are still kind of. When I looked on YouTube, there's like a few videos. Yeah, he hasn't been he ain't been in the best shape, for a while either. So, and he's up there in age. And if it's on a cruise ship, he was probably drinking some of the bubbly at the time. The previous was, yeah, Buddy Landale had a pretty elbow drop. That corkscrew elbow drop was pretty cool. For some reason, my favorite elbow drop was Bobby Eaton's. Gosh, I wish I can figure out how to show video on here. Um, but yeah, I always felt that Bobby Eaton had a who, Jericho or MVP? Who had the pulmonary embolism? Jericho? Yeah, Jericho's freaking old. Yeah, yeah, Chris is. Yeah, as far as a big guy elbow drop, Abdullah's was good. Uh, and a guy who sort of copied it, but kind of made it a little bit of his own was Iceberg. Iceberg did a pretty good elbow drop. Kind of emulated Abdullah's. Um, yeah, Chris Jericho's 53 years old. Yeah, he's what started wrestling what 90. I think he came to Smoky Mountain like 92, 93. Him and Lance Storm. Uh, Talking about funny stories by Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette brought in Chris Jericho, and basically, Jim Cornette ran Smoky Mountain Wrestling Brung in two young Canadians by the name of Chris Jericho and Lance Storm. Called them the Three Seekers. Said they were uh, magnets. Um, bless you, thank you. Um, but the problem was, Lance Storm was married, and yeah, Lance Storm was married, so he wasn't talking to any women. And Chris Jericho didn't want to talk to ugly women, fat and ugly women. Vaguely different from what I hear about the Rock and Roll Express. Rock and Roll Express served them all. Uh, Jericho had a what? PE what? I don't know why they put this thing in the way. Let me move this somewhere else. Oops, wrong button. Jericho had PE. Oh yeah, okay. I haven't studied any kind of health stuff or medical stuff. I forgot he had that. So I guess he wouldn't find nobody in 2002 if he had that. But back to the elbows. Dusty had a pretty good elbow too. Yeah, Jericho just seems like a person. He doesn't let really anything phase him. I mean, call it ego, call it whatever, call it having enough fu money to he don't have to care what people say or do to him. Uh, and like I said, ballsy dude too. I mean, like I said, stepping up in Brock Lesnar's face. Screw that. But basically, how you folks know how it is in all of entertainment now. Somebody either has accusations or you know might have made a mistake or something like that, then people start piling on and they like you for 1 minute and next thing you know they hate you. Then once the smoke clears and apparently if something did or something didn't happen, um, then they go to like you again. Or you do like Elon Musk, sold a bunch of rich people electric cars. Then he decided to buy Twitter, and everybody quit liking him for some reason. Still can't figure that one out. Um, let's see. Uh, yeah, Jericho must. Yeah, Jericho probably shook off the PE and just kept going. Here, stitch that up. I got my bubbly ready to go. Let's hit the road, Fozzy. Um, but I mean, like we was talking about Jericho last week, it's like you just gotta give him credit. The dude is he wanted to be a wrestler, became a wrestler, became a very successful wrestler, got out for a while, had dreams of being a rock star, I guess, and formed a band. And I mean, they're not doing Taylor Swift numbers or anything like that. And there's but they do well enough. And yes, we're like a weekend, over a weekend of accusations, and they pretty much died out. Here, I'll give you another spoiler warning. Jericho came out to save Sammy Guevara last night, and there has been people throwing around the part where, oh, they play the Judas music loud so uh, uh, over it'll have the NDA and boo chants, and you see them in the crowd, and people were like high fiving them or trying to high five them and cheer for them and stuff like that. Yeah, he always seemed like he's always donated charity. I think he donated some money to one person nobody liked, or some people didn't like, and they got their pennies in the twat. But I think Ivan Koloff, he donated money to his when he passed away, his GoFundMe. Jimmy Rave, uh, he donated to his GoFundMe. Actually the last interview that Jimmy Rave done was on Chris Jericho's podcast, and where it kind of discuss his career stuff like that. And I think this is when Jimmy Rave lost both of his legs. Uh, that dude was that's another dude was so freaking good. Uh, and the bad thing about it, if you watch him live, I mean, yes, he didn't do the same things when he kind of beefed up a little bit. Let's just say that. But gosh, he got so much out of the match, pulled everybody in, got people invested in it, either cheering or booing them. Uh, well, having to do half the stuff that he did at one time. I mean, like I said, Jimmy Ray was really. I mean, it's demons, man. It's takes the best of them. Um, and of course, he lost his arm, lost both legs, and passed passed away a couple years ago. And that dude was definitely really good. Didn't throw a good elbow. He threw a very basic elbow drop though. Uh, the elbow drops he would throw, very basic. Um, but yeah, the one elbow drop I did like was Bobby Eaton's for some reason. That's another dude. That dude just did everything, just about everything good. Net breaker, bat breaker. Um, the best leg drop from the top rope was Bobby Eaton's. Better than anybody's, past, present, future. Um, and he was one nice human being too. But yeah, like Karen said, he always seemed pretty good. I mean, like I said, this is this accusation of somebody that's shooting off at the mouth, and who knows what went on. What no charges sprung against him or anything. So he just and all stems from people having to sign an NDA over a fight. I mean, what do you think people want to talk about? You know, 10 years from now, if the Young Bucks and Yeah, eating was good. Everything except for talking. Well, you got Jim Cornette. You ain't got. Or yeah, Jim Cornette. Or he had Jimmy Hart, uh, Jim Cornette, Paul Lee, then he teamed with William Regal or Lord Stephen Regal at the time, and underrated. Underrated. Stephen William Regal, underrated talker. I think. I don't think he gets enough credit for being as good on the mic as he actually is. You just don't hear him get talked about as much. That's the reason I'm saying underrated. Um, and I'm not really sure when he was a jet setters or jet set with uh, George Goulas. Maybe George Goulas was a hell of a talker. I don't know. When I heard he wasn't a good wrestler. Triple H is that's another guy. I mean, um, yeah, I like Triple H. Triple H came within a eyelash of not uh not making it. Kind of ticked some people off, but you know, I mean, that's the reason I hated during the whole when he was on top and there was no Rock, no Austin. He was pretty much what they call it, the Reign of Terror, Triple H or whatever. Uh, And people like, oh, the reason he's there is because he's the boss's wife, blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, or he was married to the boss's daughter. Mm, well, he did play the game, but still, he was good. He kept at it, kept working at it, and you know, dude did get over. Sorry. Uh, I mean, Triple H, especially during that time, he would be cheered coming to the ring. Then he'll have to say something, get booed. Um, Even the matches with, uh, what's his face? They call him the Crippler, the guy they don't talk about no more, Chris Benoit. Uh, Even matches with him, uh, they would cheer Triple H when he got to the ring. Then once he started wrestling, once the bell ring, the fans, cheer for Chris Benoit. Um, and gave him the or not Triple H, but Chris Benoit standing ovation, even when he lost. He brought the drama, and ain't nothing wrong with that. Uh, and plus, he the leader of DX, D Generation X. Uh, when they became white hot, him, X Pac, and New Age Outlaws with China, gosh, that was some good stuff back in the day. And that's stuff that would not would not go over today. Yeah, I can't say Benoit. It's a bad word. Um, that's why some people. Oh crap! Where's my? There we go. That's why some people, during this time, will say they'll pronounce the same like this. Oops. They, they would put it like that during the first few years of nobody, you know, can say his name on social media. so they spell it like that. Is that this the anniversary of Chris Benoit? And that's a day right there. I can tell you exactly what I was doing. My phone was going off the hook that day. There was this place called Barnacles. Uh, they had, team trivia, and I was going in there to meet some friends to play team trivia. And as soon as the news hit, my phone, everybody I knew, just about everybody, it's almost like if I won the lottery or something like that. Everybody was calling, everybody that I ain't talked to in, years were like texting me and calling me saying, "Hey, did you see the news? Did you see the news? Did you see the news?" And when the news first hit, you know, they said, you know, pro wrestler Chris Benoit, his wife and son were found dead. I'm like, he did it. It was, I mean, that was like first instincts were like, oh crap, what did he kill his family for? And they still, it's hard to defend WWF that time where they did the tribute to Chris Benoit show either, as well, because I'm not the smartest person in the world, but when I was sitting there going, you know, news hit and it's like, why did he kill his family for? Uh, or part of me was like, oh, please don't tell me he killed his freaking family. But like I said, first when I first heard about it, first seen the news, I was like, well, he did it. Yeah, I mean, he was very messed up in the head. Um, I mean, supposedly he had schizophrenia because of all the head injuries he had, but still, that's really no excuse to do that, especially when you do got a wife and who's supposed to be kind of like uh, his wife should have realized something was wrong and got him help. I mean, I ain't throwing total blame to her either, but uh, there's just things that could have been done that didn't get done. But but man, I was at that SmackDown show. I think it was like a year before that happened. They had SmackDown taping at what's now known as Gas South Arena. It was just called Gwinnett Arena at the time. And even though he lost against Triple H, when he got up, everybody in the crowd gave him a standing ovation. That's how loved he was. Now he's dog shit towards everybody, and it should be. I mean, uh, that's I think I took a wrestling break too after that happened because I think he was like one of the last ones I seen from rookie years till he became world champion and everything. And Joe probably remembers I will always talk fondly of Benoit. Yeah, I don't. I mean, of course you have it. I mean, they ain't gonna show it on. If I guess if you watch one of the old uh, pay-per-views on Peacock, you'll see one on there. Uh, but I haven't. I can honestly tell you, I haven't searched for one on YouTube or anything like that. And I think I quit watching wrestling for about a week or two. Exactly. His legacy went down the tubes, just like that. Um, but yeah, that's. I mean, I think the only thing about Chris Benoit I did watch was which a lot of people did, Dark Side of the Ring. I think, if I ain't mistaken, I think his episode was the highest rated one. Let me see here. Killing it was either him or Owen Hart's. Uh, yes. Well, let's see. The Chris Benoit had was a two-parter. They both did a .320. Owen Hart's did a .349. Yes, Owen Hart's was the highest rated Dark Side, and they're coming out with a season 5 of Dark Side of the Ring. It's been okay. Um, let's see. And I know I'm surprised. Da, 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 da. So yes, somebody did. Oh, a lot of people on this. So you got Sam Smith, Walt Disney Company owns part of it. AE Networks owns part of it. TPG owns part of it. Soros Fund Management. Yeah, that explains a lot of things they do as far as Vice Network. Yeah. I remember Joe. We was at your at your parents' house when that happened. Um, that was definitely a like a not a good holy shit moment. Like oh shit moment. Um, bad name for the pay per view at the time. Um, and that's another one too. I mean, as soon as you heard that he fell, it was like, um, unless he didn't fall too far or something like that. Uh, but yeah, we watched that pay per view. As I mean, we watched the whole thing. They continued on, and whether they should have continued on or not, that's neither here nor there. Um, but definitely a tragedy. I mean, it was one of those um, stunts that went wrong. I mean, uh, people blame Vince, you know, but Vince hired. I mean, uh, they 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 share some of the blame, especially financially. The stunt company who was supposed to ensure make sure he was safe up there, they paid very dearly. But I think it's the same company that did him also did Sting's. Um, when Sting was doing the Crow gimmick in WCW. But yeah, like I said, Owen, it wasn't because of drugs or anything like that. It was just you know doing a character, doing a stunt. Uh, that's another one of those something should have been said, done. Apparently, he was definitely afraid of heights. I hate to say it that way, um, but yeah, that was a kind of a bad year. Yeah, Owens, you know, untimely passing. Uh, wasn't before that. I want to say at least 6 months before that. They started a pay per view with Vince announced Brian Pillman had passed away. Brian Pillman was another one who's really good. Uh, and that's another, dark side of the ring that's, kind of a sad watch too. Um, but he was, you know, he had his demons, to say, put it that way. Uh, but that's, I guess, everyday people have their demons, and that's what happens. Uh, all parts of entertainment, acting, music, sports, they've had a fair share of personalities with their demons, and it cost them. Um, it's like Jake Roberts, it's like Jake Roberts said, don't try drugs the first time because you'll like them. Um, but uh, but yeah, this and he spoke truth on that. Don't try drugs the first time because you will like it and you'll want more. Um, and some drugs lead to doing other things, and that's a surprise right there. I mean, Jake Roberts was on Dynamite last night. Um, he's still kicking. Exactly. That's why I just got the words right on my mouth. How is Jake Roberts still alive, still kicking? Uh, see, I got this theory. There can be a nuclear apocalypse, or, or the end of days will come to Earth. However, there'll be cockroaches still alive. Uh, Keith Richards will still be alive, and Jake the Snake Roberts will still be alive. Because how Keith Richards, I mean, I hear that Rolling Stones are going on tour, uh, or are on tour or something like that, or going on tour, or going to be on tour. Uh, yeah, no, I didn't do the I didn't do the drugs that these people did. Um, uh, no, uh, no cocaine, no, no, definitely no painkillers. Uh, I took a pain pill twice. Yeah, Eddie Guerrero. God dang. And what's sad about him? He was getting clean. Chris Candido. Oh my gosh, that's another very sad one right there too. Because those two guys were getting clean, getting better. Uh, loved the business, loved wrestling, and Chris Candido just I guess, had a staph infection. Passed away from that. Eddie Guerrero just died of a heart attack. Uh, uh, I'll be honest here. I mean, it ain't gonna hurt me. I smoked pot before. Uh, that's about it. And alcohol. But yeah, I didn't do cocaine, crack, meth, heroin. No, not in my bag. Pain, like I said, pain pills. I took a. Let's see. I took a pain pill. True story here. If you want to hear it, I don't know. Uh, when I first started job, I work at now. Uh, we had concrete cylinders, testing samples, and we had to use sulfur to cap them to when we put them in a hydraulic brake machine to kind of make them level and everything else. Uh, yeah, yeah, I smoked pot. Yeah, man, it was cool. See, I ain't done that so freaking long. I don't even think I could do that now. Because I always said I hate to. Okay, let me go back to my story, the pain pill story first. I'd go to pot. Um, so I actually had a safety coat on, lab coat on, safety glasses, and everything on. So I put the cylinder on there. I guess I thought it was dry enough and was level enough. I let go on it because it had like a base plate. I'm talking with my hands here. It had a base plate, and when I let go, the cylinder tipped over, and the sulfur wasn't all the way hardened up yet, and it splattered right underneath the jacket, and it burnt my arm. So I had to go to uh, physician's immediate. No, it wasn't that one. It was like another little community. I won't say community hospital or community doctor's office. It was kind of like a physician's immediate med or something like that. I, one of those little hospitals, like especially specialize in like you know workman's comp type deal or work injuries. So I went there. They took a little sample, make sure it wasn't anything infected. Put a little lotion on it, wrapped it up real good, and they prescribed me some pain pills. And how old was I? I was 19 or 20, or just turned 20, and I was living at my older sister's with my older sister and her boyfriend at the time. And I got home that it was on a Friday, thank goodness, and ate dinner, took a pain pill. I think I went to sleep like 9:30, 10 o'clock that night. Uh, went right to sleep. Got up next morning. Uh, this is back when Mickey D's breakfast was good. Sausage McMuffin, hash brown, orange juice, because I haven't discovered or they didn't have. Uh, I'm not leaving my favorite drink from McDonald's. Morning drink from McDonald's. I'll leave that out. Um, but anyway, got that. Came home. I say about 8:30, 9 o'clock that morning. I passed back out, and I was on and off sleep that whole. I think my sister woke me up like a couple times that day. They asked me something, but I couldn't tell you what she asked me. I don't even know she woke. I could have been dreaming she woke me up, but I slept all that day. Didn't wake up again until like 10 o'clock that night, and that was like the worst feeling in the world. It's like after I finally got woken up, I was like, good gosh. I mean, people get addicted. I mean, I guess I can understand if it makes you feel this freaking good. You want to sleep all day. But from one, I think, it's like one pain pill I took and caused me to do that, and I feel like crap. Um, and I think I sprained my ankle real bad uh, a few years later, and where they actually had a brace, put a brace on and everything else, or put a brace on it, and I had to put a brace on my ankle, wear a brace on my ankle, uh, and did a physical therapy, get it, back together. I mean, I sprained it at work, and my ankle's about the size of a softball. But I remember the doctor was like, "Well, we're gonna prescribe you some pain pills." I'm like, "No, you're not. You can prescribe them to me, but I ain't gonna pick them up. I ain't taking them." And I think there's a few years after that, I did get my wisdom teeth pulled and took some pain pills, with that. But they, I was out of it, and there was, you know, I had that penicillin and some of this, It's like, here, take these. Okay, you know, because that's the first time I ever had, you know, been put under and had any kind of surgery. So I was out of it. uh, but yeah, but even after that, I was like, nope, 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 no pain pills for me. I just could out. No. After that one experience, no. And of course, cocaine. I mean, I'll just say, because protect the or because I don't know if they've changed their lifestyle now because it's like 30 years ago. Yeah, y'all. Yeah, you and I think I remember you and Ricky coming over that night where we watched the worst sunset flip in wrestling history. Uh, I remember that part. Yeah, like I said, I see why people get addicted to pain pills. But yeah, uh, yeah, I remember y'all coming over. Uh, I don't remember y'all leaving. I do remember the worst sunset flip in history of wrestling. Um, but they sold it well. That's all that matters. But yes, yeah, heroin too. I mean, like I said, I did know, I, like I said, 30 years ago, they did cocaine, and no, I was, I was po, I was a po kid working at a pizza place. Um, I mean, I personally was poor as far as my personal bank account. I was still living at home though, like most teenagers are at 17. So no, I wasn't, raised poor or anything like that. We were middle class, uh, not rich, not poor, just you know, uh, just basic, I guess. uh, yeah, like I said, I don't even remember y'all. I remember y'all coming over. Remember seeing that sunset flip, and next thing I know, y'all were gone. Yeah, we were. Yeah, we were definitely comfortable. I mean, we weren't starving. We weren't starving. We had a nice place. Wasn't a mansion or anything like that. Like that. Uh, Definitely went on food stamps or anything like that. So, uh, but like I said, I was just working at a pizza place. My personal bank account was poor, and I just cannot see the guy who told me. Uh, Here's a dad story. I forgot. Wow, who was it? Some famous person died from a cocaine overdose, and yeah, only thing we can afford is weed. Um, but yeah, I remember dad. I forgot who what. I just remember him saying I forgot what famous person died or OD from cocaine. And my dad sitting there looking at the TV going, you know what? With all that money they make, if I was making all that kind of money, I'd find something else to do with that money except for, snort it up my nose. So I don't think my dad would have said, hey, can I borrow some cocaine money? Or hey, can I borrow some money? What? Cocaine. Yeah. Uh, yeah. trust me, I ain't telling my dad I was smoking weed either. So that's don't know how they raise kids now. I think kids, like sometimes I think parents just give their kids anything they want. So it wouldn't surprise me if I heard about some kid, you know, getting cocaine money from their parents and saying, "Hey, I need money for cocaine. Here you go, kid." But it wasn't all dirt weed. Some of that weed was good. I'm not going to name names, so some of the names I forget. Because, like I said, like I just admitted, my memory is sometimes a little foggy, especially on names. But yeah, like I said, nothing ever. Yeah, dads drank beer. My dad drank beer, and he sure as hell wasn't gonna let his 17-year-old kid drink beer. Well, I ain't, see, I'm talking about today's gen. I mean, your kids are almost grown now. See, if I had kids, I wouldn't give my kids cocaine money either. One, it's wrong, and B, come on. I'll admit I'm cheap. I'd be too cheap to give my kids cocaine money, and I can't afford cocaine now. I can't afford cocaine for myself. Seeing the price of everything lately, and I think I talked about this on another video, or it could have been one of these live streams where I was uh, working up in South Carolina, and just that day, I felt like, man, it's kind of chilly out here. I want some chili from Wendy's, so I got a small chili, 6-piece nugget, and a small Coke. $9. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I've heard. Uh, People want to lace weed and everything. Um, and like I said, like right now, I don't, because I always said if it became legal, I would probably go back to smoking weed. But of course, this is when states were starting to legalize weed, which, I'm still all for it. Hey, beer's legal, cigarettes are legal. Grow some weed and smoke it for your own, enjoyment. And if I would to do it, that's probably the way I do it now. I just grow my own and smoke my own. But um, but still, you know, even if they did like say, well, we're legalizing weed in Georgia, uh, don't think I can do it. I heard that. I actually heard they was going to or about to or were in talks to maybe legalizing weed. But I mean, if I did, I would just really grow because what was he at? Somewhere where they had this weed for pain, weed for this, weed for that. I'm like, how about some weed just to get fucking high, dude? I don't care about those shit. If I'm high, everything's good. Um, See, when I mean open forum on this show, I really do mean open forum. Uh, I mean, we started with wrestling, then we started wrestlers' drug uses, and then started talking about everything else. But speaking of which, it's getting to be about that time, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate everybody tuning in, but I think it's time for me to call it a night. Again, appreciate everybody tuning in. For the people who's going to watch this later, appreciate you guys watching. Let me do the spiel here. Click the like button, share with friends, leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about any of the topics we discussed this evening. And, of course, be a champ and click on that subscribe button. Until next week, you folks have a good one and take it easy.